So good morning everyone, welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Silence is not a pause between noises, agitations. It is the background of everything that appears to be. To quiet down, to meditate, is to go back to a natural state, making it continuous, uninterrupted. Silence is not a pause in your activities, in your investments, but the absence of them. I don't want anything else from this world anymore. So today I'm going to talk about hot subject, which is personal devotion as opposed to impersonal devotion. And to speak about this, I will have to talk about a phenomenon that has been going through some time. So through the years, there has been an observable decay in the guru's subject. And this has brought many confusion. But overall, what is who is to blame, who is not to blame? That is not the most important part. The most important part, who is losing from all of it? So there's a distrust when it comes to the subject of gurus. A distrust that is, well, fundamented, quite fundamented, of course. But trust could be fundamented also. It is a matter of need. But we'll go to that later. There's even almost a hate, an animosity towards that word. But if we examine things as they are, if it is a guru, so there are two chances that those facts that are being observed, they are not being understood, or it is not a guru. Either way, it is the same. What is common for some time is for immature seekers to rise up to to take a seat which doesn't really belongs to them. And it works because for those seekers who are in search for something which is not yet freedom, they can receive from these supposed gurus. And the gurus are asking for something which these seekers can give them immediately. So it's a win-win deal. And nothing to do with gurus. Absolutely nothing. And if we observe, if we look at the stories, the ancient stories about gurus, and we compare it with the gurus today, you will see that there is a big difference. It's like this phenomenon about spirituality, that it is seen today as something for everybody and anybody. It is being mixed with self-help and psychology and all of those things, and therapies and all of that, and it has absolutely nothing to do with it. But absolutely nothing. So if you're looking for something in these lines, therapy, self-help, feeling well-being and all of this, if you look at a real guru, if you encounter a real guru, you cannot take it. You won't be able to take it. It will be too much, because you will be looking for someone that takes you over, that receives you, cuddles you, that accepts you the way you are and all of that, that makes a safe space for you to be, where you feel good. But if you encounter a guru, it will probably be the opposite. And I say probably because there's always exceptions. But for sure, to get closer to a guru, your ego will have to shrink a little bit. And if you're finding a place, a sufficient big enough parking place to park your big size ego, you will have difficulties. You will not be able to do so. So you will find something, you will try to find something which is along in these lines. Someone that doesn't frighten you, that doesn't make you feel unsafe in any way, that smiles to you, makes you feel good, comfy, where you can be with your difficulties and all of that, and no resistance, that no resistance is coming to you. And in this sense, these days, you will find a lot of options. Then you and others like you will flock in there. And all those movements that you have seen will happen. And of course, it has to go sideways. And then it is put on the tab of the gurus. But are the gurus being treated unfairly? Is it injustice? No. Because the real gurus, they don't need anything from you. It is you who is losing with all of that circuits. Because with something which went sideways that you started, then you're more convinced that it's not in that direction. And it's like entering your castle, the ego, and throwing away the key. And so the big solutions for this is, well, we cannot trust men because they are just men. That is a nice reality for you to hold on to. It protects a lot of things from you. It's not that you weren't ready to find the real guru. It's not that your motivations are out of place. It's not that your purity hasn't reached the level that it needs for at least to start something. No, 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 no. Others are bad. People are bad. We are just sheeps, and there are plenty of wolves out there. Well, let me tell you one thing. I've never met a sheep. Never. I don't know what happens here, but sheeps don't flock into these places. No sheeps. I even don't know what a sheep is. This image of the sheep and the wolf, I don't understand it. There's a confusion of skins. Yes, there is. A shifting, continuous shifting in a wolf skin and a sheep skin, but a sheep, really a sheep, I've never met. So it is all good. You choose, you choose, you choose, you choose. According to motivations, according to the work that you have already done. And then you get what you deserve, what you can, or what you deserve. And this is supposed to make you question yourself, not questioning others. Because there's always been gurus, high souls. Why isn't there one for you? Funny, isn't it? And the fruits of this are being people completely isolated in themselves without any real opportunity to transcend own limitations. So we'll just wait for direct guidance from God itself. Of course, you're so important. It will happen in this way, of course. The same ideas that led you to the wrong places are still there, still in place. And who is interpreting that guidance? The one who throws away the key. So it will not go anywhere. This you can see. For sure, this you can see. You can point everywhere and say the world is like this, but you can see that you're not moving anywhere, really. So the relationship, this direct guidance that comes without the embodiment of truth, it is imagined by these same ones that it is, well, it is more right. It is, of course. And you don't have to do a lot of things. You don't have to humble yourself to another body or something like that. That's no need. Just directly to the source. Well, let me tell you something. That's not really the case. If it is that journey of dissolution, the last part, because in the beginning, babies are treated different than adults. It is like this. But in that last part, direct guidance, it's much, much more bitter and intense than through the means of an embodied one. Because with that embodied one, you can still bargain a little bit. You can still have a conversation. Things can be explained if you're ready to understand it, and if it will not affect the end result, sometimes they cannot be explained also. But direct guidance, there's no explanations. And you will be put through situations, not just towards one body, but to a lot of different ones. So if you have a problem being humble to one, you will learn to be to 50 or 100. It is much more intense, as I have explained previously. And for the majority, unattainable, unattainable. So what the majority does is this make-believe that I am having a conversation with God and I'm being guided by it. Nothing comes to question me, so good. And they humble themselves to that infinite consciousness and all of that. A big ego, well, lowering itself to the high consciousness. It is good. Well, it has room for it. Even a big warrior bows down to his superior. But does that bring dissolution? So these relationships of master-disciple, they were always important and will always be important. And if there is something as a big opportunity, because, well, the spiritual teachings are available worldwide to many people, if there's any opportunity, it will be through the same channels, or else it's not an opportunity. Because if it is make-believe, where is the opportunity? So in the relationship of a master-disciple, it is said that the disciple needs to see the transcendent nature of his master. But this will be very difficult because of its own projections. Something that doesn't happen with a dead master, with a photo, with the image of a deity or of God. It doesn't. They are all there just smiling. So anyone can bow down. But to a living one, when he is not smiling, when he is grudging, let's see that compassion, let's see that devotion, that surrender. Let's see how it stays. And most fall. And this is where the work begins, the real work. Heaven is for those who have removed the hell which is inside of them. And to remove it, you'll have to go through it. So that impersonal devotion brings very little, because the mindset is out of order. Everything is out of order. And with this mindset these days, seekers become just islands that cannot be reached. They ask and pray, but cannot receive. With so much available, it takes them longer, much longer. For the real seeker of truth, there is your master, your guru. Ooh, that word. Ooh. He is out there. Not a guru, not a master, but your guru, your master. And to find it, or to be able to see it, because sometimes you are found by him. But to be able to see and to continue, it's not a done deal. Either you keep giving steps, or you lose, or you won't be able to see. And if you're looking with these eyes, interpreting with this mind, you'll be tricked, because it will show you an opposite image of what you're expecting to see. And in that way, it's teaching you to see through here. So it doesn't matter the hows and the whys. It matters is the result. And the result is more annihilated seekers, trapped in their castles, their own castles, with less hope. Less hope. Because the attitudes and the postures that you're having in front of all of this, they do not reflect humbleness. They do not reflect the spirit of the seekers of truth. And this is your lost. Real master has found what he needed. Doesn't need anything else. If there's any questions about this, you can send. I will answer your question now. This is a Portuguese question, but I will translate it and answer in English. If you have any difficulties, you can send here and I will answer in Portuguese if needed. So, dear Sriman, for some time now, I wanted to work on 2 chakras at the same time. Oh no, wait, bad translation. Is there a problem in working 2 chakras at the same time? I do this question because I found a beautiful mantra on the internet that worked the 7 chakras. And someone told me that working all chakras at once can be too intense for the majority. I would like to develop Agnya and Muladhara. Well, if you don't have a dog to hunt, you'll use a cat, isn't it? So there's difficulties a lot with masters, and then you just ask anyone around and everybody is a master and gives their opinion and blah, 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 and then confusion, confusion, confusion. It's funny, but not for you because it's your time. So this idea of working chakras and working this and working that, these ideas come from at least the vanity that you know what you're doing, that you have any idea of what needs to be done. You see, this is the fastest way to close yourself from the magic and the beauty of the spiritual path. How will you work this? And why? In what sense? So the one who is meditating intensely, is he working one center at a time? Is he working all at the same time? Is choosing one or another? These are naive ideas. The spiritual process has a life of its own. But in the absence of that life, a lot of things can be put in place because they are not checked. So if nothing is happening there, well, you can imagine a lot of things happening. But that doesn't mean it is real spiritual work. As you intensify your meditation, doesn't matter which one it is. Well, it matters if your meditation is about working one specific center at a time or all centers. Then it matters. When you're intensifying your meditation, whatever needs there to be worked will be worked. It is an intelligent process. Those who are trying to fix certain aspects, if it is from their own mind, then it is a way of control, of improving circumstances. A seeker of truth dedicates himself to meditation, to dissolution of individual structures, to devotion, to surrender. He doesn't assume that he knows what needs to be done, what is more important now or later. And if he is serious, he is under guidance. And if needed, these things come for him. But at the level of the energetic body, that happens on its own. So as you mature, you'll forget about all these nonsense. And for you that is working on these chakras, and the other one who says it's too intense, well, I can tell you both that you have no idea what you're talking about. And you haven't met intensity yet. Okay, I will answer your question now. So another question in Portuguese, I'll translate. The doubt is how to know if our fears are dissolving or being repressed. Well, you'll have to look at the whole picture. And the whole picture is, what is your attitude towards these fears? So there must be exposure to fear, first of all, or else it doesn't count. Or at least exposure to the same circumstances. And if your attitude has been and continues to be trying to change the circumstances or to push those fears away so that you don't experience them, maybe you are suppressing them. But if your attitude is to try to maintain your focus, your attention, your awareness with the fear, trying to be there, to live, to experience that fear without running away. And if by doing this you are exposed to those circumstances that would intensely awaken your fears, and you're not feeling that intensity of fear, then they are dissolving. So you can see a lot of it in your attitude, your own attitude. How are you behaving? Are you trying to run away? Are you trying to not to feel the fear? Or are you welcoming it? Letting it come closer? Being in its presence? If you're not defending from it, and circumstances that would bring that fear are still there, but no intensity is arising, then they are dissolving. Because this is the attitude. See, fears are nothing. Absolutely nothing. But to see this, you will have to dare to see. So it is normal, as you position yourself in the most adequate way, and as you come closer to that which you were running away from, as you're running away, it is too much, too intense, too difficult. But as you are in the opposite direction, coming closer to that fear, embracing it, looking in the eyes of it, then the more closer you come, the less it will be. And when you get face to face with it, it's not there, because it never was. But if your attitude is of denying it, defending yourself from it, not wanting to experience, to live it, and the circumstances are there that usually brings that fear, and you're not feeling it, well, then you're probably suppressing it. And by suppressing it there, it will come from another circumstance. And it's good to understand that when you associate fears to certain circumstances and you beat that circumstance, you can be there in that presence and not feeling anything of fear. That doesn't mean that fear is over, because fear takes a lot of faces, a lot of different faces. So it doesn't mean that it is over, but it means that it is weaker. And you will face them with different faces and other much more different faces, until it makes no difference. So to have a glimpse of what is being, if it is being suppressed or dealt with, dissolved, your attitude is very revealing. And understand that you may be in the doubt if what is happening, but eventually you'll be tested, and then you'll know for sure. So if the doubt is there, the test has not come. And when the test comes, you will know. And if you discover that, oh, the fear was suppressed, okay, so here comes, let me work that out. If you find out that, well, it has dissolved, good, let the next one come. Okay. Oh, something here. Okay. I will answer your question now. Hello, Shima. I followed your advice. Meditation, same time, same place with a small altar. And before meditation, I know why I sat in silence. It's better, I'm progressing. When I close my eyes, I see a white space. What do you recommend? I focus on this space. It is peace. But that does not change anymore. It has been several months that I observe in this white space, which begins to be a little more alive as sane. I tell myself that I have to do some wrong things. Probably that you must be doing some wrong things because it doesn't change. Probably that. Well, first of all, in your practice, you have to understand that you're not an observer of your practice. It's like a scientist who is in a science experiment. He is doing an experiment and he is observing his experiment. In this case, the seeker of truth, he is the experiment. It is different. So as you're observing and you're looking through the eyes of someone who is observing what is happening, that keeps you out from the experience itself, from the process itself. It's not as to observe a body of water, it's to dive into it. So meditation intensifies, accelerates your process. Yes, but that depends on a lot of premises. Your motivations, your beliefs, and a lot of that. And like I said previously, for example, if you're closed in yourself, like I said in the previous example about gurus and all of that, and you're full of beliefs in that sense, as you intensify your practices, what usually happens is you don't see anything evolving. Nothing is happening. But if you didn't have this meditation, for example, you wouldn't see it because you would be too busy writing Facebook posts and talking to others about spirituality and all of that, because that's the only thing that's left. For example, or you would be having certain experiences. But the spiritual work is a little bit different. So this stillness, this nothing is happening, which is starting to bother you, it is giving you a message. Something is out of place. Something is out of place. But there are a lot of periods that you will experience in this way, because that part of you which is waiting for novelty, for something to happen, for something, whatever, for change, that will have to dissolve. So meditation, there's a lot of different periods. Some are like this, of stillness, and that helps you to purify that, how do you call it, agitated mind, full of expectations and all of that. The part that wants to see things happening, changing, and this. And it helps you to dive in more stillness. And at the same time, this absence of whatever, it is giving you a feedback that some things are not in the right place, or else you would be there peacefully. So they are not opposite things. And in these periods that you go through and nothing happens, as you remain in that stillness, not entertaining that rajasic tendencies of expecting this, expecting that, and this agitation will become anxiety, and it will be purged through emotions or through some other means. Like something is being put out, regurgitated even. So each period is doing its own thing. But for now, what you can do is to work this expectation, to drop expectations. But first, well, you close your eyes, but was there a technique? What was the technique? This is important. You see, these days, with all this non-duality, all those pearls thrown into the ... there's this tendency of seekers just to close their eyes and work on the awareness and all of that. But that's nothing for them yet, because all those constructions, layers, mechanics of the mind are still there and they don't get touched by this. So a technique is needed in the beginning. Not something that you abstract, that you relax into, but something that you focus. So if you didn't have a technique, so in that white space appeared there, and you're focusing on that, okay, so that will be your technique. But if it disappears, what will you have? But it is there, it can be your technique, you can focus there. Nothing is happening. Well, something is, expectations are increasing, impatience, lack of patience is increasing, so something is happening. And eventually, when you put things into place, and when you just surrender yourself to that and you retain that, no matter what expectations are there, that agitation will be purged out. You will complete one cycle. So, for any spiritual work, focus is of utmost importance. Not just in that moment where you're sitting for meditation, but at all times. That is what brings intensity. People are always fond of radical movements because they are quick to do. They promise long gains and they don't need too much investment. This is what really happens. But the spiritual practice, it is a continuous investment, non-stopping investment, undistracted attention, undivided attention. This is what makes the spiritual fire increase, appear and then increase. But my recommendation is to get a technique and focus on it. Don't let your mind, with its own whims, direct or control it. Okay. So next satsang will be Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Until then, make the best use of your time. Pode escutar.